Filipino museum goers have new sights and pieces to look out for. All exhibits in the Ayala Museum are now open. We learn about their latest launches and preserving art and history with Associate Curator Marinella, Andrea, Mina here on the final word tonight. Well, Andrea, thank you for joining us. The museum closed in 2019 and then it reopened just this year. I'm sure many of us are excited to know what can we look forward to the renovated Ayala Museum.
First, thank you very much for having us this evening. Good evening, David. The Ayala Museum, actually, yes, we had closed in 2019 for renovation. And this was a plan, really, that the museum had closed with intent of refurbishing many of our spaces and expanding them, as the museum had sort of, in a sense, outgrown the physical galleries. And we did the expansion not only in the physical spaces, but also online. So in 2020, however, all of our plans were cut abruptly. And we were finally able to open on a soft opening as of November last year. But finally, this August, we are now fully open to the public. All of our exhibition floors are now accessible. And this includes our much awaited fourth floor galleries, which feature the permanent exhibition Crossroads of Civilizations, which I think you can see right now, features three exhibitions. It's a tripartite gallery that hosts our archaeological ethnographic collections. So right now, what we see here is a video of the Gold of Ancestors exhibition, which was curated by Dr. Florina Capistrano Baker, and it shows us more than 1,000 objects of archaeological gold found in the Philippines. Alongside that, we have a newly opened gallery, Skeins of Knowledge, Threads of Wisdom. This is curated by Dr. Patricia Araneta, and it sort of situates the attire of our indigenous peoples of the Philippines, different indigenous IP groups, and pays respect to the various cultures and exchanges that they have in their communities and with other communities that sort of formulate and shape our sense of identity. And lastly, also on the fourth floor gallery, we have the exhibition Ceramics and Cultural Currency, Exchanges of Pottery and Prestige. And this sort of asks the question about why we have such an abundance of Chinese and Southeast Asian tradeware ceramics in the Philippines. And it goes through a long history of our connections with the mainland and island Southeast Asia. And also it asks the question of what kind of values our ancestors had that made them acquire these kinds of objects. In addition to that, we have now also opened a visible storage space, also on the fourth floor of the museum.
Well, Andrea.
Now, yes.
Well, there's so much interest with museums now, no? Kasi siyempre, for the longest time, we've been on lockdown and people are up and about and, want to go out and explore spaces and places now. I remember, incidentally, Ayala Museum is commemorating, tama ba? Its 55th year this year. At isa sa mga pinakasikat yung exhibition dyan, yung diorama experience of Philippine history. Nandyan pa rin ba hanggang ngayon?
Yes, the dioramas are still probably the most popular exhibition. And it celebrates really Philippine history. And it's most iconic for the Ayala Museum because when the museum was first envisioned in the 1950s by Fernando Zobel, it was for the museum to be a house that sort of encapsulated the entire narrative of Philippine history under one roof. So when the museum first opened, it was really intended to be a museum of history and an iconographic archive. But over the years, it has now expanded to become an art and history museum.
How's the turnout so far? I mean, kamusta yung reception? Are more people coming in, no? Especially after your soft opening and syempre after the lockdowns?
Yes, actually, since we've only just opened our doors again for the fourth floor gallery yesterday, we're glad to see that yes, there is a lot of building interest again in revisiting the museum, and we're happy that we're also now allowing more children to come to the museum because we were also coming from a space where we had to have a lot of restrictions originally when we did our soft opening for the museum because we wanted it to be safe for all of our visitors. So we were quite strict about the capacity limits for all of the gallery spaces, and that continues till now. But there are now ways in which we are allowing younger guests to come and enjoy experiences at the museum as well. I think just yesterday I saw at least 4 families going around when I just passed through one of our galleries. So
Yeah.
it's very encouraging.
Well, siguro just to wrap this conversation, Andrea, why is it crucial, no, for our kababayans to understand our past, especially, no, amid this historical revisionism that is very prevalent today?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I guess it's also the function of museums really to speak to the truth. But ultimately, the importance of history museums, history institutions is also, of course, to safeguard, again, the truth. And with what we'd also like to achieve, especially with the Ayala Museum, is to show that though there are multiple stories, there is still ultimately just one set of facts, really, that we should all sort of come to understand and respect.
Right. Well, Ayala Museum Associate Curator Marinella, Andrea, Mina, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to visiting Ayala Museum soon.